I've been wanting an air bike in my home gym for a while, and after a lot of research, I've decided to go with the giant lifting Airbike. Now, if you're like me and do research before you buy something and happen to be in the market for an air bike, you've probably come across Garage Gym Reviews, which is possibly one of the largest gym equipment reviewers in the world. And on their channel, they've probably reviewed every major air bike available. However, the bikes that really stand out from their reviews is the Fringe Fitness Raptor air bike and the Bells of Fitness Blitz air bike. Both of these are highly recommended because they offer great build quality, partly due to the mostly metal construction, which adds a lot of weight. This is partly good because it makes the bikes themselves more stable, which is welcome considering that you're probably buying one of these bikes for some high intensity workouts, just flipping out on it. These bikes also feature a drivetrain that's belt driven rather than chain driven. This is a benefit because a belt just requires much less maintenance in the long run, whereas a chain can stretch, break, and just needs to be replaced more often. However, the best thing about these bikes are their prices compared to the competitors, considering that they are often better than the more expensive bikes. At the time of this video, the Fringe Fitness Raptor air bike cost $949, the Bells of Steel Blitz air bike cost $799.99. However, if you look carefully at the product pictures for both of these bikes, you'd notice that they are essentially the exact same bike with some minor color differences. And that's because many of these brands do not actually manufacture the products that they sell. They find a factory overseas that actually makes this stuff, just buy it, slap their logo on it, and sell it to us under their own personal name brands. So we can only assume that both Fringe and Bells got their bikes from the same manufacturer. And of course, neither brands will outright admit this, and what I'm saying is just pure speculation, but it's a pretty good guess. Alright, at this point you're probably asking yourself why I've been talking about those two other bikes from Fringe and Bells when I personally bought the giant air bike. Well, remember how I said that the other two bikes are probably the exact same bike? Well, here I present to you another example of that exact same bike. Now, of course, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty confident when I say that this giant air bike is the exact same as the Fringe and Bells, because when it comes to just listed specs and product photos, all three are nearly identical. The major difference between the three in terms of features for a while at least was the fact that the Fringe Raptor actually came with larger turf tires, whereas the Bells and Giant only had smaller rollerblade style wheels. The larger wheels do make the bikes easier to move around if you need to do that. It doesn't matter so much if you have a dedicated spot for your bike. However, Giant has updated their bikes to also include the larger turf wheels, as you can see here. But I will say that this does seem to be an afterthought because they're still using the older front stabilizer bar that has the smaller wheels attached. The new wheels are actually attached to another bracket that sits under the old feet, and this works. But again, it just seems like an afterthought when compared to the Fringe air bike that uses a completely different front stabilizer that eliminates the smaller wheels. Another difference between the three bikes is that the Fringe offers a grab handle on the back stabilizer bar that gives you a place to hold on to when you're actually moving the bikes around. To me, this has actually turned out to be huge as someone who does have to move their bike back and forth every time for it to be used. Because right now with my giant air bike, I'm having to slip my hand under the rear stabilizer, and although that works, the bike feels like it's going to tip over sometimes just because the front larger turf tires are pretty narrowly spaced together. This is just not ideal, and I personally just have no idea why Fringe is the only brand of the three that thought to include something so simple. Again, it's not that big of a deal if you never moved your bike around, but I personally, like I said, I move it every time, so I would have really liked to have this. So at the end of the day, which should you buy? Now, assuming that you aren't absolutely attached to one particular brand, I would say that it ultimately comes down to the price. Again, the Fringe Fitness Raptor air bike costs $949, the Bells of Steel Blitz air bike costs $799.99, while Giant Lister air bike at $899.99, but it regularly goes on sale for $749.99, $50 less than the Bells. However, when I purchased my air bike, it was on sale for an additional $100 off if you pick it up locally, which I did, so I bought my giant air bike for $649.99, $150 less than the Bells and $300 less than the Fringe. To me, the decision between the three is a no-brainer considering how much less my giant air bike cost than the other two. However, if you don't live locally and you have to get this bike shipped to you, you're looking at a list price of $1049.99, and it regularly goes on sale for $892.49 before taxes. Now with that in mind, I would say that yeah, that's a huge pass for me. There's no way that I'm buying this bike for that price. Again, if we say that all three bikes are essentially the same, then this bike would cost $92.50 more than the Bells and $56.51 less than the Fringe. And me personally, at that price difference, I would just buy the Fringe because it offers that grab handle. And between this and the Bells, I'd probably buy the Bells just because I'd rather have the cost savings than the larger tires that, again, is a little bit wobbly. Now, something that I do want to touch on is my personal experience with this particular air bike. Even though I've been saying that all three bikes that are mentioned in this video are the same, I ultimately can't give my personal opinion on the other two because I've never even seen them in person. I can only share my personal opinion on the giant air bike. That being said, I think that functionally, this is a great bike. The monitor that it comes with already has the workout intervals that I need pre-programmed, so I'm just one tap away from actually going off and working out. However, the condition of the bike that I received is not all that great. My bike has scratches here and there, the front blade guard is actually bent in multiple places, and then on top of all of that, when I was assembling the bike, I noticed that the entire frame, basically every metal piece, is actually rusting from the inside. This is because the parts are just coated on the outside where we actually see, and coating everything inside and out would cost a lot more time and money, so a decision was made. It's just unfortunate that in this particular occasion, the result is a completely rusted, brand new air bike. With my bike, the rusting is actually bad enough that it's actually forming on the outside of the bike where the black is, where the welds are. Personally, this is not what I wanted to see. The rust will only get worse and worse, especially considering that this is a cardio machine, something that's pretty intense and will no doubt see some sweat. I'm pretty disappointed by the condition of this brand new bike, but at this point, it kind of is what it is. I really don't feel like breaking this thing down and wasting another 2 to 3 hours driving back and forth from the giant warehouse. And personally, if I knew about the condition that this bike is in, I probably wouldn't have bought it, even considering the price that I paid for it. But again, it is what it is. I'm going to use it for now and just see what happens. It does come with a 3-year warranty, so we'll see how that goes. And that's gonna be it. I hope this video has helped you out and offered you some value in your personal purchase decision. And if it did, I hope you can give the video a thumbs up, share it around, comment down below with any thoughts or questions that you may have. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content like this. And if you want to further support my channel, consider hitting the join button down below to become a member of this channel or become a patron on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.